It is Newstalk KGVO 101.5 FM and 1290 AM with the Last Best Beer Show back again. And we have our very own Ryan Newhouse with us. And Ryan, what's on tap today?
Oh, cheers, Missoula. Thanks, Shireen. We've got a lot of great things to talk about in tonight's show. So from tonight, we'll hear from one of the newer Missoula breweries to hit the scene. And not only that makes them unique in Missoula and one of my favorite places, but unique in the nation. We're also going to talk about some new breweries to open their doors in Montana since our show last week. We'll talk about a little bit of serious recognition that 3 Montana breweries have received from Washington, D.C. And of course, since it's Halloween weekend, we've got a special beer and candy pairing section.
And remember, you can listen live 365 and 24/7 at newstalkkgvo.com.
So let's hop to it, if you'll pardon the pun here. So since our last show, 2 new Montana breweries have opened, and that's right, 2 more. We are now at 62 breweries in Montana. It's kind of hard to believe. So new this past weekend, was 10 Mile Creek Brewery. Now, they opened up in Helena, Montana on 48 North Last Chance Gulch. So they join Helena's other 2 breweries, Lewis and Clark Brewing Company and Blackfoot River Company. Now, 10 Mile Creek Brewing has 6 beers on tap already. Now, one of them is uniquely named You Got My Goat Oatmeal Stout.
That sounds good.
It is. I almost want to hear the name, the reason that they named it that, more than even drink the beer.
Totes my goats, man.
Yeah. So if any of our listeners make it up there, try that beer. Leave us a comment on the Last Best Beer Facebook page that we have going on. The other brewery to open this last weekend is Map Brewing Company in Bozeman, Montana at 510 Manley Road. So ironically, Shireen, I don't know if you were at the Montana Brewers Fall Festival.
Oh, I was definitely there.
Do you remember being there?
Yes,
okay.
Barely.
All right, that's the more important question. Now, Map Brewing Company from Bozeman actually debuted their beer at the festival to Missoula beer lovers. Now, they walked away that evening with a gold medal for their Northbound Golden Ale.
Wow, congratulations to them. That was one beer on my list, but as many people that were there in attendance, I didn't get to try them all, but that's what's great about the Montana Brewery Passport, folks. You take that, and now you can go with all these new beers and get them in your booklet.
That's it. Yeah, be the first to get those stamps. They've already got them. They're ready to go. And I had the same plan as you. I wanted to try them all, but that festival brought in over 150 Montana-made beers, and I couldn't have done it if I had 3 days.
Me neither.
Yeah. So if you're curious about any of the medals that were awarded from the Montana Brewers Fall Festival, head over to the Facebook page, facebook.com/Last Best Beer Show, and we'll have a link to all the winners. I'm very excited this week to have the co-founders of Imagination Brewing Company with me. It's Robert and Fernanda. Thanks, guys, for coming in today.
Thanks for having us, Ryan.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I tell you guys have absolutely not only one of my favorite breweries in Missoula, but one of the most unique that I've actually ever been to. I've been to quite a few breweries. So the official name is Imagination Brewing Company, and you're a center for positive change and a brewery. So my first question is, what was that aha moment to come together and put a brewery and a Center for Positive Change together?
Actually, I would say about 6 years ago, we were sitting down with owners of another brewery in Montana, and we asked them one time on a Friday when it was busy and everybody's laughing and they're connecting, kind of doing things that most people don't do in our society except in brewery tap rooms for some reason. People tend to let down their guard and really connect in wonderful ways. And we asked him, and I said, why did you guys do a brewery? And he said, well, do you like our beer? And I said, yeah, I love your beer. He goes, that's not the point. I said, what's the point? And he kind of pointed to all these people who are laughing with a little bit more of their gut and connecting with a little bit more of their heart than they do in a lot of places in society. And he said, changing this country one beer at a time.
Wow.
So I think at that moment we thought, we love craft beer. We always have. But what we love even more is the potential in craft beer to really bring about positive change in society and connect people.
That's beautiful. I mean, well, lucky for you guys, you do have great beer, so you do keep people coming back. But you have a physical space. Is that right, Fernanda? That you have people that can come in, enjoy your beer, but actually get together, not just at a bar or at a table, but you have a physical space for people to use.
Exactly. We do have a it's a shape of a classroom, but it's a center for community transformation that we call that. It's supposedly the first in the country, and we opened that space for the community to come and gather, and we've been having trainings and workshops and even birthday parties, but any kind of gather that has a positive intention, people are more than welcome to come and connect with us to use the space.
So anyone could come in, talk to you about their ideas, whether it's for a specific community event or nonprofit or something more private. Basically come in and just see the space and see what's available. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like we both have about 15 years of experience working in war zones around the world doing humanitarian work.
Wow.
But we didn't want to just come to Missoula and say, hey, we have all this figured out and we're here to teach you. What we want to do is connect with the good people in Missoula who are doing good things already and say, hey, if we put our minds together and intentions in the right spot, we can make some really positive impacts on society. And so really the space is there for people to come talk to us and say, hey, let's dream together. Let's imagine something better together and then realize those projects.
Well said. Is there anything particularly about Missoula and this community that seemed to fit for your ideas for the brewery, or what is it that made you settle on Missoula?
We did a deep research around Montana to see what was going to be the best place for our brewery, and even though a lot of people kind of were concerned that it was saturated, we found out that it wasn't. And I think for us, one of the big attractions for Missoula to have our brewery in the community is the community orientation that this town has. All the nonprofits that have been doing great work in trying to, increase even more how people support each other. So that's kind of, we thought that could be a good space and a good place for us to provide for one more resource for the community to keep creating, like Robert said, and connect and network.
And from my observation, the community seemed to embrace this open arms, right? You guys have just had your grand opening, and you've been open just this year. Is that right? So,
yeah, about 7 months.
7 months, right? Has that flown by?
It's flown by, and we feel really grateful for the community support. I think going back to your question, one of the reasons why we chose Missoula is there are people that thought the idea was kind of crazy, putting an educational space and a brewery together. But then people kind of smiled and said, but you know what, Missoula might just be crazy enough to love this. and so far they have been. Absolutely.
That's perfect. Fernando, you brought up a saturation question, and I get that question writing about beer and talking to people about beer. How many can we hold? What's the point? What's the number? And I'll never put a number out there, but I've heard if we go back to sort of pre-prohibition days and we look at like per capita numbers and how many breweries have been out there, some people have figured out that for us to even reach what we had pre-prohibition, we'd be looking at 5 times the number of breweries that we have today. So 25, 30 breweries for Missoula alone. So I don't think there's any worry about having too much good beer in town. I do want to jump, since we are the last best beer show, you guys have a brewery. We got to talk about the beer. All right, Robert, I know you're a head brewer. You do everything from making recipes to brewing the beer to probably some cleaning too, right?
Yeah, actually, to be very honest, I slept in the brewery last night because I was working until 2 in the morning. So yes, everything.
So next time you guys are out there and you go into Imagination, make sure you tell Robert thank you for his dedication to the beer. But let's talk about what you have on tap right now. Sure. What's coming on here in the next little bit?
Well, we have 2 kind of mainstays that stay on all the time, and one of them is really a robust golden ale that we call a river ale. It's been a big favorite with people that are kind of making the transition to craft beer, but also the craft beer lovers the big craft beer lovers seem to love this beer. And our IPA, our Freedom Fighter IPA, we get the best hops in the country from a friend of mine who works in Yakima, and so we're lucky to have wonderful hops to put in this beer. And then right now we're kind of rolling out a lot of different seasonals, a little bit darker in color, some of them a little bit on the sweeter side. We have an extra special bitter coming out today that we did at the very beginning that people loved, an extra special brown, kind of a hoppier amber, and I've got a couple more coming out. So, yeah, I think we're trying to keep about 7 beers on tap at all time and have 2 that are mainstays and 5 that are constantly revolving.
I like that ratio. I mean, I'm always go back to my favorites when I find them, but I'm always willing and game to try something new each time as well. So I want to talk about a couple other things that you have going on routinely. I know music, right? Irish music on Tuesdays. You have some growler fill specials. Let's go through and talk about what people can do at Imagination Brewing each week.
We have Irish music today from 6 to 8, and it's every Tuesdays there. Have a brewery jam night on Wednesdays, so musicians have been getting together, and they actually been recording some podcasts. It's been really cool.
Now, these are people just bringing their own instruments and playing music, whatever inspires them then and there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. We've been wanting to do it, and then we finally had Jeffrey Taylor to kind of host it for us, and it's getting momentum, and it's the second month that we've been doing it. Mm-hmm. We just started a nonprofit appreciation day on Thursdays, together with our growler special.
Okay.
That person have the first beer free when you fill a growler, and the nonprofits get their half of their first beer off, which actually is $2 off on their first beer because the cents kind of, helped in their way. And then we have our teachers' happy hour on Fridays for the teachers, which they've been very grateful and having fun on Fridays evenings too. And this week, particularly, we're going to have a Halloween party it's a hip-hop Halloween, and we are very excited to see how that's going to turn out.
Excellent. So is that on Halloween, right? Saturday night?
Saturday night from 6 to 8, and
excellent.
The best costume is going to win a big prize, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, good. All right. Well, this is a Halloween-themed show today, and I've got to put you on the spot a little bit. I don't know if Halloween's a big deal in your family, but obviously there's Halloween candy everywhere. So I'm going to give you 3 different candies you might find on Halloween, and I want you guys to pick one of your own beers that you'd put with it, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. It's not going to be too hard. But I am a sucker for full-size Snickers. Now, if I was a kid and I was trick-or-treating and I found the house that had full-size Snickers, I would be tempted to go home, change costumes, and come back again, right? So, all right, if I got a Snickers bar, which beer would you guys go with?
I would say our Ubuntu Robust Porter. It's got a little bit of coffee note to it to balance out the sweetness of the chocolate, but I think it'd be pretty phenomenal together.
Oh, good choice. So now I'm going to go a little bit different. Hot tamales, those little red hot candies, okay? If you get some of those, you don't see a lot, but occasionally. What do you think?
I don't know if I'm right or not because I'm not the beer expert here, but the Freedom Fighter IPA with the citrusy that it has, it would be really nice with a kind of a spice from the hot tamales.
Excellent. I like that. I would give it a try, nonetheless, right? I'd be tempted to try it. All right. One of the most classic Halloween candies, the last one here, candy corn. You seem to get that stuff by the pound. What do you think, candy corn? Which beer would you put with it?
To be honest, candy corn is kind of it's an off flavor in beers that you can get from what's called dimethyl sulfide or DMS. And so what I would probably do is pick a beer that has a pretty strong flavor to kind of mask some of that, because otherwise you don't want your beer tasting like candy corn. So I might say our extra special brown is a pretty aggressively hopped beer, pretty big flavor. So I think that might be a good one to kind of take care of the candy corn taste.
Oh, excellent suggestion. Really smart. You heard it here, folks. Now you've got beers to try. When you got your candy, I'm sure you can sneak in a little Halloween candy after the fact and try it yourself. So really happy to have Robert and Fernanda from Imagination Brewing Company here today. Thank you so much, not only for the good beer that you do, but for the good work.
Thanks, Ryan. We really appreciate the time here.
Stay with us here on Newstalk KGVO 1290 AM and 101.5 FM for the last best beer show. This is Ryan Newhouse. Here's a word from our sponsors.
All right, we're back. The last best beer show, Newstalk KGVO. Remember, online, newstalk.kgvo.com, and our host, Ryan Newhouse.
Thank you very much. This week, we recognized a holiday called American Beer Day. It was on Tuesday. It's another one of those, what I like to call hashtag holidays. They seem to come around every week or so. So interestingly, at the same week, we heard that Czech President Milos Zeman, I hope I got that right, was given a presidential speech, and he actually referred to American beer as, quote, filthy water. And he was touting Czech beer as the world's best beer. Now, I'm not trying to cause any big fights over beer, but I've enjoyed a few good Czech beers. The Pilsner Urquell is a favorite of mine, but I don't know. I'm tempted not only on hashtag holidays like American Beer Day, but every day to choose local first.
That's why I say hashtag National Beer Day, hashtag Montana Pride.
There we go. Montana Pride. Use it. Let's see it. So speaking of Montana Pride, we had 3 Montana breweries this month that received national attention, and they got recognition by our Senator Steve Daines in Washington, D.C. Now, because Montana Brewing Company out in Billings, Kettle House in Missoula, and Madison River Brewing Company out in Belgrade, they entered beers in the Great American Beer Festival. And that's held every year in Denver, and I was there this year.
You were?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Now, we talked about the Montana Brewers Association Fall Festival. They had 150 beers. Well, in Denver, they had 3,500 beers for me to choose from over the course of 2 days.
And do you remember that?
No.
But we had 3 Montana breweries there.
We had 3 that won awards, and it was these Montana Brewing Company, Kettle House, and Madison River. Now, they all won medals there, 2 of them for the great Scotch ales that they do. Cold Smoke, of course, won a silver medal. And Madison River Brewing Company won a gold medal for its Scotch ale.
Well, I'll tell you, I have friends traveling all over the country, and when they come to Montana, the first thing they want is a Cold Smoke.
That's it. When anyone knows that I'm leaving the state, they want to make sure that I have that in my bag as well, that I'm bringing it to them. So fabulous beers, but it was nice that these 3 breweries got recognition from our senator in front of the president as a part of a congressional record on October 7th. So that was pretty nice of them. So there's another topic that tends to get a lot of coverage nationally and locally, especially by our health-conscious American population, is how does beer and healthy living go together? I don't know. Do you know the answer?
No, I don't know the answer, but I do know exercise must play a part in there.
It does. It does. I exercise so I can drink beer. That's kind of my goal there. Yeah. So a lot of us have read studies, pros and cons about having a glass of wine after each meal, or maybe for adult men, they say you can have up to 2 alcoholic beverages a day and it'd be okay. But there's one blend of beer and fitness that's really taken a fun twist, and it's the connection between beer and running. Now, I'm not a runner. I don't know. I am absolutely not a runner, but there was only one run I wanted to do, and that was recently, and it was a beer run. Oh, yes. Yes, those have happened. Actually, a friend of mine had shared that with me this week. There is an event called the Beer Mile. Now, it's a fundraiser for clean water through water.org. That's an organization that was co-founded by Matt Damon and Gary White. So it had beer running events all around the country, and we'll post a video to that on our Facebook page. But if you want to enjoy some beer and running here in Missoula, we do that too. Thanks to Run Wild Missoula, they host a monthly beer run. Now, they had their October run this past Wednesday because it's the last Wednesday of every month. But if you head to their website, runwildmissoula.org, you can find out where next month's run will be, and you'll probably see me there, at least at the finish line. Well, it's Halloween this weekend, so it's time to dress up. It's time to take the kids out or just have a fun Halloween party in costume. And, of course, beer goes with everything. It goes with Halloween, and it goes with candy. So I've got my friends here, Jeff and Paul from Draftworks Brewing. They will be having a costume contest on Halloween Saturday, free sodas for the kids, and giving out candies. Jeff, Paul, what kind of candies can we expect at Draftworks? Anything? Grab bag?
I think we're pretty standard grab bag.
Okay. Now, any full-size candies? No, I really like the full-size ones. No? All right.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, if you'll indulge me for a minute, we'll play a little game. People are going to be inundated with Halloween candies after Saturday. But, beer and candy can go together. So I'm going to give you a few different candies to think about, and I'll name it off. And I want you to tell me which Draftworks beer is going to go best West with this candy. So I'm going to start with, it might be an easy one, Twix. Now, I've got a couple styles in mind, but is there anything along the lines that's jumping out that you want to break open a Twix?
Flying Red Carpet is our Scottish ale, and it's kind of a light Scottish ale and would balance the Twix out really lovely. It really will cookie part.
Oh, yes, it would. It would.
I'll go with clothing optional. I think the caramel malt side of our pale ale would go really well with the caramel of Twix, and then there's enough bitterness to help cut the sweetness of everything you just ate and drank.
That's it. What can you do for your palate, right, at this point? I was always thinking Twix with Hefeweizen. I know you guys have made that in the past, especially bring it up, like you said, Paul, that cookie side of the Twix that I like too. You get, but sometimes in a good Hefeweizen, you can get some banana or clove esters that go in there, but you need with that weedy body to there. All right, let's get a little bit more detailed here. This could be a tough one. Skittles.
May West. Our Huckleberry Sour would go right along with that.
There you go. Taste the rainbow, which now includes Huckleberry.
You bet.
All right.
And if it's not a Code Red Mountain Dew, I would also agree that May West, our Huckleberry Sour, would play perfectly with Skittles.
Excellent. I like that one. You know, I'm going to stick with you on there. I will try that combination anywhere. I was wondering, though, if cutting, you got the sweet tart of Skittles, if you would need something a little heavier to cut through that. Some have suggested a double, like a big high alcohol. Yeah, that would go there. Belgian yeast, but no, I don't know. I'm going to go with May West with you guys. All right. M&M's. M&M's. Milk chocolate M&M's, not the peanut ones.
I'm going with Gwindy Oatmeal Stout.
Yes.
And I would take Last Rites, our Mexican chocolate porter, would be nice with any of the chocolate candies.
I will let you know on Saturday when I'm there for Halloween. I will bring some M&M's for you guys. All right, well, I'll turn it back on you. You guys come up. What's your favorite Halloween candy? That maybe, or your kids' favorite Halloween candy, or family members?
I'm a Reese's guy.
Oh, Reese's.
Yeah.
Reese's Pieces?
Or
Reese's
Cups. Cups, yeah.
Oh, the cups.
And then all the derivations from there, yes.
Oh. Put peanut butter and chocolate together.
I'm old school. Snickers.
Yes, Snickers. I love it. And if I get extra Snickers, I'm putting them in the freezer, and that's what I take camping. So awesome. Well, we've got a lot of fun to have here, and we've got a lot of good beer to drink at DraftWorks, and I want everybody to be safe out there this Halloween, but definitely stop by and say hi to those guys. Jeff, Paul, thanks so much for playing along.
Yeah, thank you.
From beer runs to brews cruises, this is the Last Best Beer Show.